Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Orange Soda Reviews with a little bit of tech news mixed in. Today's August 11th, and I immediately forgot the categories. It was
business and social media. Also, do you notice any difference between today's audio and yesterday's
audio? We made
a
few more refinements. Our editor came in and was like, let's change this a little bit. So
It's amazing.
We also got a wordy letter from our
Scott,
our new fan Scott.
Yeah, so this is another care package. This box was severely damaged.
Cool.
And it was sorted into the fridge, so I don't 100% know, but it's good. I try to keep it separate, but although this package is not from Morgan, Winthrop Blickers, it was because of him I was able to send you this package. I was not able to find your mailing address anywhere. Morgan is just across the bay from me, so I called him at Winthrop, and he told me, I asked for the address from Patreon and Floatplane. So I joined Patreon and asked for the address. I know that you said that you've gotten more packages and have been shown so far. Hopefully everything I've sent will not turn out to be a duplicate. No, there was a fair variety here. Although after rewatching videos, I saw that there were some duplicates, but they were the ones you said you liked, so it's not all bad. That's really good. There's a lot more other stuff. You may wonder why I sent regular cream soda and not orange cream. Zevia makes several flavors, but orange cream isn't one of them. So I bought orange and cream thinking that it might be possible to mix the two.
Oh, wow.
And have an orange cream soda. I'm going to try that. Not today, but I am going to try that.
Oh, do you have more than one?
Yes. There's the orange can and the brown can.
Let's hope
I mean, don't you need them both?
Yeah. I'm just going to try this one by itself today.
So, but then you have another one to mix, is what I'm saying. Oh, okay. All right.
Although some of those cans were... I didn't get as many as you intended to send, but I got enough.
There's been a lot of damage to these packages.
Yeah.
Yes. It is. The shipping companies do not care anymore. Just in the regular packages that we get, it's like they've been through a war zone. They're just,
mangled.
It's like, is there blood on the outside of this package? Did somebody take a bullet for this? I've never tried it myself, so I hope it's good. Well, thank you very much,
Scott. He has beautiful handwriting.
He didn't give us the name of his liquor store.
I think he said he's across the bay. Is that
the San Francisco Bay? Wait, where do they
live?
No, they're not.
Winthrop's Florida.
Okay. Well, there could be a bay in Florida as well, right?
Biscayne Bay.
Yeah, beautiful handwriting.
Tampa? You think it's Tampa? Yeah, from Tampa, right? It's Tampa Bay.
Wow,
here's
their way address. To dox them.
Here's their address.
This smells like a Sprite. It smells exactly like a Sprite.
We can get Zevia here. I've seen that in the store.
It's Sprite with 3 drops of orange juice.
It's sweetened with stevia, though, right? I imagine that's the name.
Calorie 0, fat 0, sodium 0, carbs 0, protein 0. Carbonated water, citric acid, 3 drops of orange juice. Natural flavors, stevia leaf extract.
I find that it has a brutal aftertaste. What do you think?
It doesn't. I don't. This has a much less brutal aftertaste than almost all of the other stuff.
Wow.
This has a less brutal aftertaste even than the Orange Crush. The Orange Crush has an aftertaste that in the back of your brain, it's like, have more to offset the aftertaste.
It's probably the caffeine, right?
No, it's caffeine free. It's caffeine free, sugar free. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I got into Diet Orange Crush is I was trying to wean myself
off caffeine,
off of the ridiculous amount of caffeine that I require for just normal operation.
All right, so letter grade and venue.
This is an A. This could very easily be a substitute for my Diet Orange Crush because it's not overly orangey, it's not syrupy, it's very water. It's a little too carbonated. But if I just open it and let it sit for probably 10 minutes, it'll probably be at the perfect carbonation level.
I think that might be healthier for you than Diet Orange Crush.
Yeah, it sounds like it because it's just carbonated water.
It's
and
spicy water.
Acid. Yeah, I mean, and Orange Crush, there's an aspect of Diet Orange Crush that really does taste like they had a lot of industrial waste that happened to be safe for human consumption, and they were like, what do we do with all this?
Yeah, this has aspartame in it. Yeah. So it's got
probably Zevia is probably going to be more expensive though, right? Because it's over in like the fancy soda section.
It's delightful. This might be an A+.
Wow. You heard it here first.
Now, our next one, are you going to do that other one this episode? Because I see the calorie count on that one. That is not a diet soda.
No, 170 calories for this bottle. This is ski. We'll save that. I don't know. We'll see. I got to get through this one first. This one must be enjoyed. Must be conserved.
Savored.
Savored,
That's
yeah.
the word you're looking for. Well, let's savor some hardware news quickly. If you are one of the people who is suffering from the inability to get a new graphic card, maybe you just want to slum it with an APU for a while.
AMD Ryzen 5000G series review. Zen 3 APUs deliver big value. I said that, not just me, also Hot Hardware. They did a really good job on their review. So yay. So Ryzen 7, 8 cores in an APU. That's kind of a big deal. And those are Zen 3 cores, so you get that 19% IPC uplift. There's also a 6 core. They play games reasonably well. You can play 1080p at like medium low. But when you do eventually add your GPU, you don't really suffer. See, the first APUs, the older APUs, those were 4 cores. And so like, is a 4-core CPU going to push a 3070 or a 3080 or a 6800? Not great, but these do. There's a lot of computational horsepower here, so it's nice.
And if you are one of the people who has thrown your $5 into the pile to get your Game Boy, you might be happy to hear about this, because I think that little piece of hardware is going to move the industry a little bit in a place that it desperately needs to be moved.
AMD and Valve are working closely together on a new Linux CPU performance scaling design. So the idea here is they're looking at these APUs. We got graphics and you got CPU. How do you balance which one gets the power? Because if you give the GPU all the power, then you may be CPU starved and the GPU is not as busy as it could be. And if you give the CPU all the power, the GPU may need more horsepower in order to perform optimally. So you got to figure out which one gets how much power, and you don't want to max either one of them out to have the best gaming experience. And that's going to change depending on what game that you play.
You also need to not run your battery out on a handheld in an hour.
Yeah.
So,
do you really need to play Monster Train at 300 frames per second? Probably not.
You do. It's important.
If you're hardcore, you turn off the animations altogether.
I'm not even that hardcore, as many hours as I have into that. And it's because I really delight in watching the bosses suffer.
It is, and they make great noises when you hit them.
Also, I like all the little imps with their little tummies. It's fun to watch them fly around.
So that's good news, especially if you're not able to find or afford those crazy graphics cards that we can't get right now. And the big story when it comes to chip fabrication is getting away from needing anybody else. You want to be completely self-sufficient with your chips is what we're learning, and more companies are saying we are done with working with other people.
Google will abandon Qualcomm and build its own smartphone processors this year. Now, this article is talking about Google wanting to go all in on Tensor and Tensor cores and AI and figuring everything out. But I think this is a more interesting, more subtle story here, because look at the Surface X, Microsoft and Qualcomm. Look at other phones, other people and Qualcomm. Look at the Google Pixel phones, Qualcomm and Google. And Apple has consistently been able to pull out a better ARM mobile experience here. WTF is going on? Because Qualcomm has had the first mover advantage. And so some of this, I think, is Google sort of losing confidence in Qualcomm, saying there is no way that Apple shouldn't have been able to do this. They're basically dysfunctional when it comes to an engineering standpoint. Why were they able to do this?
Too much time at the top. You get complacent. Although I wouldn't say that Google or Apple are necessarily hungry upstarts.
But they can devour the hungry upstarts that have the good designs.
That's a good point, yeah. They can consume a ton of hungry upstarts. Well, now, if you're a Mac user, your video card search is going to be a little different, and you're going to spend just a slight bit more money.
Only a slight bit more money in this market. Mac Pro gets a graphics update. The W6800X and two W6800X GPUs, the W6900X. So these are new AMD GPUs for Mac. They're $5,000 to $6,000, so only a little bit more expensive than a 3090.
But that's only if you want to run them in parallel. Although the W6800X, two of those will run you that's the W6900X will run you $6,000.
Woo!
Well, if you just paid $50,000 for a Mac, I mean, is it really,
It's chump change, really.
Or you could you could build a whole PC, a nice PC with a really good monitor, maybe a gaming chair,
You can build
a desk.
Not just any gaming chair. You could get that reclining one that like throws you back in a pod, and you've got the monitors right in front of you. I still want to get one of those at some point.
And you could get a VR helmet.
Yeah, VR helmet.
Yeah. You get quite a package.
Which, as we'll see later, is the only way to get technical support from Facebook.
So, good luck with buying those. Amazon, a couple weeks ago, they got busted. Although, I got to say, they're not alone. All big stores do this.
Yes.
But they happen to get busted destroying quite a bit of products. When they don't sell things, they don't want them getting back out of the market. So what do? Burn and or slash them. The PR was really bad.
Amazon to cut waste following backlash over the destruction of unused products. The move comes less than 2 months after British broadcaster ITV reported that Amazon was destroying millions of items of unsold stock in one of its 24 UK warehouses every year. This is a really interesting consequence of late-stage capitalism because, what do you do to keep the prices from falling? You make sure that there are fewer products in the market. It seems weird, but it's this one weird trick that billionaires have.
I don't know that this is necessarily late-stage capitalism. We've been doing this since the 80s.
I was gonna say Walmart used to do this too. Like, they would slash up clothes so people wouldn't take them from the dumpster.
Because people abused it.
Well, yeah, in those cases, it was a kind of product abuse, but it still seems really just completely insane because...
Completely wasteful is what it is.
I mean, if you're producing products for like $1 and you sell them for like $50, then I could see that it really does cost less to just destroy the products than to let those products enter the secondary market.
I got a product from Amazon the other day with Prime shipping for 79 cents.
You know what else that we got from Amazon Prime that was not great? A replacement microphone cable.
Ooh.
But I love the
Called
idea of forcing them to pay more than they could possibly make on this item to ship it to me. That delights me for some reason. Also, the thing that they're doing, the specific things they're doing here to combat the waste, is there's going to be a program where they cycle these back in as used products for some sellers. And there's the liquidation program, which I think is going to be kind of like where you just buy a pallet of junk rather than destroy them.
There's a lot of YouTube channels that do that where it's like, I bought $5,000 worth of stuff from Amazon, and it's like really nice stuff.
I imagine they're going to start getting nicer, right? And I got to say, though, Amazon's delivery continues to fall, don't you think?
Yes.
They're really dropping the ball. Some stuff, it's taken weeks to get to me.
Or the stuff that makes it, is covered in human waste and blood.
Or the packages are just smashed and leaking orange juice.
See, I'm kind of just thrilled to get anything where I live. So, like, every time the delivery man actually makes it, I'm like, woohoo!
They actually came to the house.
Yeah.
But, I do think that is a top-down problem. I don't blame the drivers because it seems like the drivers are being pushed to their absolute limit.
Yeah.
Amazon delivery companies routinely tell drivers to bypass safety inspections. Now, I read this article, and initially I was getting the impression that it was like, after every stop, inspect your tires to make sure they're not flat. Okay, I could see that, you don't have to do that every time. But you look at this, and it's like, oh, no. They're like, even the basic stuff that you do when you leave in the morning, like look around the car and see if it's leaking oil or is there any, fluid on the ground. Like, they're just like, no, don't even bother doing that. Don't do anything.
I bet the big truck drivers will dispute you on, like, you're supposed to do that stuff every single time. Because, like, you could kill a bunch of people.
Well, they're just driving a van.
A bunch of people.
And if you can't tell the tire is flat from the way it drives, you've got problems.
All right. Let's go out. You go to the bottom of the hill. I'll hop in a van. And you see how confident you are when I'm coming at you. I'll go 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That's like the people that are like, 9 millimeters, not an effective round. Walk to the end of the range. And let's see how confident you are about that. We've had a smattering of companies that have set dates for when to go back to the office. Almost all of them have now retracted that and changed because we got the big D+ coming.
Amazon delays office return to January 2022 as the rise of the The variant that you were talking about, that thwarts corporate plans. I still have some corporate travel that has not, as of yet, been canceled, which is weird because probably should be.
They want that steak.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess everything's already paid for, right?
Yeah.
Not going to get refunds.
No.
So
Also, what a weird time to choose. January 20th. That's right after Christmas. They're going to have to push it back again.
All right, you get one more Christmas with your family, then it's back to the gulag.
Yeah.
But you're saying because all of a sudden people were together, right?
Right. And then they're like
together.
2 weeks from now, they're going to be like, oh no, we brought everyone back to the office and everyone's sick. What happened? Who could have predicted this? Me. Level 1 predictions.
Do you recall? It was over a week that Google resisted, right?
Yes.
It was actually several weeks, wasn't it?
Oh, are you talking about the Apple thing?
Right.
6 weeks.
Wow, yeah. So when Apple did their big adpocalypse thing and block tracking, week after week we were doing the story. It's like, well, Google is not updating any of their apps. What are they doing? They seem to really hate the idea, which makes this weird.
Google Play gets mandatory app privacy labels in April 2022. After delaying its iOS privacy labels for months, Google copies the feature for Play.
And copy's the right word. It looks real similar.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and call it now and say it looks real similar, but with a splash of 50% more untruth.
Do you think they purposely nerf it a little bit?
Yeah, they definitely do, because Google knows where the money is.
Well, Amazon, they not big fans of unions. Not at all. Do you think the Walton family or Bezos hate them more?
I think Bezos probably hates them more.
I think probably, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because I think in his mind, he's thinking, before I die, I'm going to hit the trillion.
Yeah.
And there's only one way to do it, and this ain't the way.
Amazon unlawfully confiscated union literature, the National Labor Relations Board has found. So people were trying to organize in some Amazon places, and they're saying,
There's a break room.
If you want to do that, that's fine, but not on our property.
No, I didn't quite say it like that. I think a security guard physically ripped them out of his hand and told him, you will never do this. Turns out there are laws about that. So, nothing is shaken out yet, but we assume that they'll be made to comply. I don't know.
Any day now.
They'll get pee breaks eventually. It'll happen.
And part of the power comes from the billions of dollars and the market share, but also part of the power comes from if you were to destroy Amazon, the knock-on effect would be staggering.
Amazon now employs almost 1 million people in the U.S., or 1 in every 169 workers.
God, when you break it down to just the workforce like that, it is.
Yeah, that's kind of...
So
It's not a
globally,
monopoly.
it's a little over. I think it's 1.3 million. But in the U.S., 950,000 Amazon employees, not counting the drivers. Drivers don't get counted here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that Amazon takes over like small goods manufacturing, like all the IKEA pressed particle board furniture stuff that you see at Walmart, like all the really cheap stuff. It's inevitable that Amazon has to take over all
Would
of
they
that.
want to do that, though? Because, like, their whole thing is being the middleman.
If they're after shareholder growth, that's the only place to go. They can't get any bigger.
I think we'll get to the point of like Amazon Basic drywall and spackle.
But they don't
Yeah.
manufacture any of that, though. Like,
But then that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's just...
Why would they not start doing that?
Why would Amazon not start doing like the Sears style kit homes? Because, you know, your local contractors working from a kit home are going to produce a way better result than working from a traditional set of plans and blueprints.
See, I think-
they can be high out of their mind and do a great job.
see, I would love to see kit homes make a comeback. I feel like Amazon's probably risk averse, and like if you start making things, you're also going to be liable for them, and they don't like being liable for anything.
It's just a corporate structure thing. They can fix that.
Yeah, that would be like Amazon Basics where they're not making it.
Yeah, like the Amazon Basics
They'll
stuff.
put so many layers of little tiny corporations between them that they can say, "Oh, we didn't know."
Yeah, I'm sure that there's an Amazon Basics charger cable that burned somebody's house down somewhere that nobody ever heard about.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the same way that they can give us this number and not count the drivers.
Yeah.
How can you not count the drivers?
We're not a monopoly. See, it's fine. We're just under a million.
Well, I thought that people would not love cloud, the whole computing experience in the cloud. Boy, was I wrong.
Microsoft pauses free Windows 365 cloud PC trials after quote-unquote significant demand. So you could get up to 8 cores and 512 gigs of storage for $138 a month, which seems a little steep there.
Oh, I thought it was only 20.
Well, the lowest end is just like 2 cores.
Oh, you're talking about the 512. Yeah, okay.
So 2 CPUs and something else.
You get 8, and that's the one you were talking about. Oh, this is the crappy one.
Yeah.
64 gigs of storage is quite a limitation.
Yeah.
Does Windows count against that?
Yes, it does.
Oh, well. Not great. Although the word free does, when you stop giving away for free, that's going to fall off a lot.
Yeah. Well, this is only trial. It was like, just try it and see how it goes. And we're banking that you're going to forget to cancel your credit card.
So wait a minute. Who was the last one we talked about? Was it Google?
Mm-hmm.
Should have put this story right with that one. Microsoft has set a different timeline.
Microsoft will require proof of the jabs to enter buildings in the U.S. And it will be, the offices will open no earlier than October 4th. So they've got a much earlier timeline, but I think it was Amazon. A much earlier timeline than some of the other companies that we've mentioned before. But if you want to come back, you got to have the backs. That almost rhymes.
But who wants to come back is the problem. Who wants to sit in an office breathing other people's air?
Well, they want to keep their jobs, I'm sure.
Are they forcing you to come back? Like, can you not remote? I guess you can't for every job, but...
They only talked about the first date you can get back. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of places where it's like, well, you're not really part of the group. We can't really involve you. You're not at the conference room. Square is all about... managing payments online. They've become quite the juggernaut from doing that. And like all the other big tech companies, that means you gobble up your competitors.
Square to buy now, pay later, giant Afterpay, a $29 billion deal. So this is sort of a different take on payment processing. They were looking at what credit cards were doing, like Goldman Sachs, and saying, that's a racket. We don't have to have credit card processing fees. We can just become a payment processor and do it ourselves and make a lot of money.
I've been seeing Amazon's added that. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like you can pay this or you can pay this every month for 6 months.
But Amazon doesn't have to run the credit card fee. Like they will make an insane amount of money because it's like 2.9% plus 25 cents per transaction plus whatever. Like that would be a good rate for your credit card processor. A lot of the time it's actually worse. Look at the PayPal fees. It's insane. And with Amazon doing that, they get to make all of that money. All of it.
Well, not all of it because you're going to get burned a couple of times, but you're going to have a wealth of data on people who don't pay their bills.
Yeah.
And you can do something with that.
I mean, Amazon
could sell it.
Has got 101 and 169 people in the workforce. And from that network of people, how many, it was like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon separation. But if you've got a database on 1 in 169 workers in the U.S., how many degrees of separation do those workers have from the other people?
Now
chances are they're bringing you packages.
If you're Bezos, do you give that information for free to the credit check companies?
No.
Or do you make them pay for it?
You make them pay for it.
Not only do you not...
Handsomely.
You don't even let them pay for the good stuff. You just take over. Like, you automatically take over that market. Think about, like, your Amazon drivers bringing you, it's like you live wherever, and it's like, oh, look, this person has ordered stuff from Williams-Sonoma. Yeah, they're automatically going to be allowed to do the Afterpay thing because they probably have a lot of money.
They spent $50 on salt and pepper grinders.
Yeah.
They're rich. They're bougie.
Amazon has data on literally every consumer in America.
I got news for you about the people that buy that garbage. They don't all have money.
But if Amazon is going to make some money off of those people, then...
Well, they could sell the dead eventually, I guess. Well, the Blizzard scandal... the thing about the Blizzard scandal, I think a lot of these tech companies, they weather these scandals and you're like, wow, they did a really good job weathering that. But the problem with the Blizzard one is it kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah, there's more stuff gets written. It's like, oh my gosh. And it didn't start mild either. It went from like 0 to 100 and then it just keeps getting worse.
Oh, no, it didn't start at 0.
The people that come out of the woodwork on the Blizzard scandal is like, wow, this can't possibly get any worse. And then somebody in the back is like, actually?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh.
Would you say that it was maybe the tip of the iceberg? That's their logo.
Blizzard president is stepping down amid a frat boy culture scandal. Yeah, so this is, sort of rotten from the core. they're going to have a really hard time. I think.
They put 2 new people in charge, and one of them's a woman, and they're like, look, isn't that great? And it's like, shouldn't you like be putting policies in place so this doesn't happen again, so people aren't playing night crawlers under the desks again?
They should release a game called Night Crawlers.
That's essentially, it was an Always Sunny joke, but apparently that's what was happening there. No wonder the patches took so long. What the hell were you doing? Weird.
Is this going to affect the Overwatch 2 team?
I don't know. I haven't been playing Overwatch very much lately.
First, the Hong Kong cancellation, and now this. It serves them right.
Are you still working hard on Muck, Chris, or have you given up?
No, I kind of have given up on Muck. I tried. We'll take a moment to detour. I tried Back for Blood. I did the beta a little bit last night.
Oh, I didn't know that was out.
It's in beta state. It's fine. It just makes me want to play Left 4 Dead. Like, it's not bad, but it's not great either.
But is that going to release full, or is that going to release into early access?
I'm not sure. They did the beta, and like after you played the game for a bit and then you closed it, like they had you do a questionnaire about it, and everything was just fine. That's pretty much what I answered on the survey. Like, this was fine. I don't know if it's $60 fine.
$60?
Yeah, they're charging $60 for it.
That's
and I know there's going to be microtransactions in it too, because there's like a card system. And I'm like,
I was about to say, as much as I hate Left 4 Dead, I will suffer through it if we want to stream that, but I ain't paying $60.
Well, it's not that right now. It's free. That's why I played it.
Oh, somebody sent me the Monster Train DLC. But
nice.
I got the thing where like I have to paste the code in, and when I went to paste the code in, Steam was down.
Probably because
that's
of that
a pricey one. That's like $30, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, their DLCs are a little expensive. Well, Qualcomm, we've learned, is maybe losing some of the goodwill of the people that it makes chips for, and maybe it should focus more on keeping them happy and not making cars.
Qualcomm offers to acquire Veoneer. I don't know if I'm saying that right. For $37 per share in cash. Who is Veoneer? What do they do? It turns out they make mobile sensors for cars and data acquisition and do stuff around car data.
But if we think back about Mr. Biden's announcement.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Makes more sense, yeah.
Might be a smart play.
They should make faster, better ARM chips. We should have an amazing ARM-based Surface laptop at this point.
Well, we're going to need one to capture all that data that's coming out of the car telemetry. Do you know how many sensors are in those cars? Oh, Firefox. I do not have a concrete reason I can point to that I don't like Firefox, but I don't like Firefox.
What's wrong with you? I love Firefox.
I don't know. Apparently, I'm not alone.
Firefox lost almost 50 million users. Here's why it's concerning. Yeah, it is. We need Firefox. You should take one for the team and use Firefox.
I like Firefox.
I do,
Engagement challenge. What do you or don't you like about Firefox?
I use it for my non-ad block browser at work. So I do my work in Firefox. Maybe that's why I like having the separation.
So I use Chrome as like my test browser if I need to test something with no add-ons.
I do Firefox as my test browser.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I actually run 3 Firefox profiles on my computer with different shortcuts. And I think they should make that easier because I've got the developer Firefox and then I've got the regular Firefox, which they did to try to make things faster. And I use the developer Firefox for kind of important things and the regular Firefox for other things. And because they even look different, it really is easy to manage them. And I find myself wishing that like Chromium or Chrome or Edge even had the different, like where I could just create a shortcut and be like, okay, now it's going to have a blue border and I'm going to do these kinds of things in it. And it'll have a different history and a different set of cookies.
You need that mental switch.
Yeah.
A different background. Well, they point out that it's their presumption of what's happening is Firefox, and I have noticed this about Firefox, too many updates, and the updates change things too radically too often. They don't seem to know.
The Google model.
Yeah, they don't seem to know where they're going with it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And like the stuff they did with tabs. Remember when you had those beautiful tab managers and they just wrecked them all?
I had the vertical tab. I had like an amazing vertical tab, and it
with
could do
grouping and searching.
Oh my gosh, and there's never been anything as good since.
Yeah, and they tried to do their own searching thing, but
it was just bad.
It wasn't as good. And why did you break that?
Yeah,
you shoot yourself in the foot there. I can't believe I'm defending the plugin developers because they're usually monsters.
I'm ride or die for Firefox. Used to talk about Edge too. You're like, oh, I wish I could even do this in Edge. And it's like Edge, even if you just click on it by accident. It's like, are you sure you don't want to set your default browser to Edge? Please.
You know what's crazy is that since Edge switched to the Chromium rendering engine on Linux, it's actually a shockingly good experience. It's not great, but it's a shockingly good experience on Linux.
I only use Edge, again, to test. Like, if a client messages me and is like, hey, I'm looking at this in Edge, and I'm like, oh, crap, and then I have to look at it in there. But otherwise, I don't use it.
If I were getting up every day to go to work on Firefox and like I used Edge on Linux and it was, rendering pages and being more responsive in the UI, I would be a little sad on the inside.
Hilariously, we're using Firefox on Linux for this. Well, it has always been kind of a badge of honor if you knew enough trivial knowledge to do the New York Times crossword puzzle. That's kind of a...
Who makes those? It's not all done by computer now.
Well, the New York Times.
Well, yeah. But, like, is there an individual who's like, what are good clues today?
Yes, there's a whole, there's software, obviously. But that whole practice of making crosswords, it's a very interesting thing that they do there. Anyway, New York Times is the most famous. It's kind of the yardstick, I guess, that you would measure other crossword puzzles against. And now you can't get it anymore.
The New York Times crossword puzzle is no longer going to work in third-party apps, which has crossed the puzzle solvers.
Some editor's very proud of that title.
So you have to have a subscription for these, I think. You might be able to download the PDFs.
No, you always had to have the subscription.
So if you have the subscription, you could download these in a file format. And they're basically saying, we don't really control the file format, so we're not going to do this anymore. Which doesn't really track.
They are trying. Now, you can get it in the print. If you're a subscriber, you can download a PDF to print yourself. They have an app. You can do it there, but you no longer do it on the web app, and you can no longer get the .puz download. And I think the real hardcore crossword people were bringing in 20 .puzzes a day.
They're probably going to nope right out of the subscription, too. I hope that really affects their bottom line. They're like, why is everybody abandoning the subscription? It's like, we had no idea that so many people
There's so many enraged boomers about the .puz files.
If I'm another big paper right now, I'm looking to headhunt their crossword people.
If you are a large enough paper that you're worried about the particulars of the .puz file format, maybe send a pull request. You can probably get some stuff done.
The .puz. Well, that's what they don't like about it, is that it's open. They want their own app. They want you to download the app, ultimately.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
That's what they want. How about no? Does no work for you, New York Times?
Now, do you recall when Uber got in a lot of hot water for kind of how they were sort of hanging their drivers out to dry and stealing their tips and stuff like that? And they said, we're going to be better. We're going to fire the CEO, and this is not going to happen again.
I remember that.
Not going to happen again.
I definitely remember that. Uber requires a non-disclosure agreement. What? Before helping a carjacked driver. So this is a driver who was carjacked, who had insurance, but he had a $1,000 deductible. So the insurance paid for everything, tens of thousands of dollars in damages, but he would like to get his deductible back. And Uber said, all right, well, if you sign a non-disclosure agreement, we'll give you the $1,000.
So not only did he have to agree not to sue them, but he had to agree to never talk about this little event that happened, because we don't want people thinking about the fact that you might get carjacked in your safe Uber. Only safe thoughts in the Uber.
Happy thoughts.
You remember where that was? They have a huge carjacking wave happening there.
I had the impression it was Florida, but I wouldn't swear to that.
That does feel, that's Florida energy.
I can't remember. Wherever this guy was, they talked about it. It's a massive carjackings going on there.
I'm trying to look at it. I can't see this far back.
We know that, Krista. Come on. And this story, I have to admit, I don't think I managed to find a non-paywall version of this. Did you?
No.
And I can't pick who might be in the right here. It's really confusing.
The Bloomberg headline is a tale of fake Hewlett-Packard gear, and it spurs an arrest in China and a lawsuit. So Hewlett-Packard does business in China, and they do enough business in China that they were able to kind of sort of take care of this. Like copies and fakes, that's kind of been a thing in China since time immemorial. But this is networking gear made to look like Hewlett-Packard networking gear. It comes with Hewlett-Packard firmware, but it's not actually from Hewlett-Packard.
We know for a fact it's fake. That's not in question. This happened in 2011. But the argument here is Hewlett-Packard says these Chinese nationals were advertising themselves as Hewlett-Packard and selling fake Hewlett-Packard software to the Chinese. These guys who've been accused said Hewlett-Packard was selling fake Hewlett-Packard in China.
Why? What's the benefit of them doing that, though?
I guess free money from the Chinese? I don't know.
I mean, it's been probably more than 10 years ago, but I was doing some work for somebody that had imported some fake stuff that was Cisco from China. That was a really popular thing to do because it was pretty easy to just clone their circuit boards, and so just any random person could make Cisco, and then you load Cisco firmware on it, and ta-da, done. They added a bunch of stuff to deal with that, but like the early 2000s, that was pretty in vogue.
Now, they do have a bit of a theory here that companies like Hewlett-Packard have long hated the fact that they can't go after this kind of thing in China. And this might be a step toward getting that.
Yeah. Well, Hewlett-Packard, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what kind of deals they've done.
It's probably unlikely they're going to get a fair trial in China, though, right?
Somewhere I've still got a fake Cisco IPTV chassis, which I converted to run Myth TV because I found that really funny.
Well, the crypto world has actually seen a little bit of a boost this week. Those numbers finally started going back up, and this had a lot to do with it, I think.
Explainer, major Ethereum upgrades set out to alter supply, fix transaction fees in this Reuters article. What they really should have gone is, the headline they should have gone with was Ethereum change destroying millions of dollars worth of Ethereum, because that's kind of happening right now.
So I saw a headline this morning, they just hit the 1 million mark already. So what's happening is the gas fee that you used to pay to other people for doing the transactions, some of that is just going to be tossed into the void to remove, supply from the world. And they think that's going to jack up the price. This is also a move toward Ethereum 2, which is proof of stake.
Joy.
I staked my Ethereum. I've made $15.
It's true. Quit your day job. Oh,
that was my
drop
phone.
Your phone.
A bird flew into the window a while ago.
Is that what
Did
that
it?
was? I was
Yeah.
wondering about that. It sounded like that phone might have landed on a corner.
It looks like it's gotten dark as well. Is it getting ready to storm? You guys may hear some thunder as well.
It's one of those days where they give it a 15% chance and it always rains.
Yeah. Oh, your basement.
Yeah, not looking forward to that.
So Zoom, if you'll recall, when the pandemic started, everybody started using Zoom, and they kind of made up the security as they went.
Yeah.
They didn't really do much for it. They got called out on it, and there was a lawsuit.
Zoom will pay $85 million to settle lawsuit over privacy and Zoom bombing. You could also receive a payout, but don't expect much. So if it was me though, if I were the executive, I would have just said, look, the technology grew so fast, we really could have done some things better in terms of security, but that's just how it is on the internet. Screw off.
Well, he may have said that and then got hit with this fine anyway.
They support Section 230 with protecting them, which is going to be fodder for the Republicans, right?
Yeah.
They're going to use this as an example. If you were a registered user, a subscription payer at that time, you can get 15% of your subscriptions that you paid, or $25, whichever is lower. So, at most $25. If you were not paying for a subscription during the time, you can get as much as $15.
Wow.
Again,
quit your day job.
With the Section 230 protections here, it was unfortunate. They could have done a lot of things better, but I mean,
under our laws, should it cost you $85 million to just be crappy?
No.
I don't think so either. You're allowed to be crappy.
Yes.
How do you ever not be? To get good, you got to be crappy first.
There's a lot of pundits, I think, that think that some of the laws are structured to make it so that the incumbents are basically around forever. It's like Twitter and Google and Facebook are, once they're established, they're just established. And this would seem to be a vote in favor of that. It's like, Zoom was the predominant thing. We can find them and do other stuff. It's like, look, if they're crappy, use a different service. And we certainly had the option to do that because video conferencing services exploded in a way that they had never had before because of the global situation. So this is a fine for being crappy, but I guess they're happy to pay it because it now cements them in as...
Remember we were talking about their profit margins during all of that? Yeah, wow. we learned a little bit about security and we made hundreds of billions of dollars, yeah, we'll give you some back.
Yeah, I would be more supportive of fining them for, usury, for making, exploiting the situation to make more money than they would have.
Yeah.
But
although they did give it away for free, it'd be hard for you to talk them down from that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just doesn't. I don't
Didn't
know.
they lie initially about it? Maybe that's what you go after them for.
Well, they got busted, because they talked about the encryption.
Yeah, it's like we got encryption. See, but that could have just been idiocy. Like the executives didn't know.
But how long do we let that be an excuse?
Yeah.
Well, if you're thinking, all right, I'm going to get my $25 from Zoom, I don't know how I'm going to spend all that. I mean, my pockets are so flush right now. Well, get ready for even more stacks of paper.
Google Plus class action lawsuit starts paying out $2.15 for Google Plus privacy violations. Remember, with Google Plus, it's not even a thing anymore. It's gone, basically.
So, yeah, 52 million users they leak the data of, and in response, they have to pay $2.15 per user.
That reminds me. Krista, I found some cameras in the women's restroom. There you go. Or good.
What?
Is that a Blizzard policy?
Oh, just handed me $50.
I don't know where they came from. I don't know, but we're good, right? $2.15.
Take that money and don't ever go to KristaUpskirt.com.
Oh. Someone's going to look that up, and that's going to be real.
Someone might register that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, that's just Google's. It's like,
take some pennies, peasant.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there you go.
But literal pennies.
Yeah.
They could have given us so much more.
Listen, they got to save their money for the Euro fines.
The irony is that if they had only done that to one or two people, the punishment would have been much more severe. Because it was such a grand scale, it's somehow not as bad.
It's like murder. So I remember, I'm pretty sure this happened right after the, what was the API company they got busted for?
Cambridge Analytica?
Yeah. Right after Cambridge Analytica, didn't they get busted for something like this?
Yes.
Yeah, so they learned a lot from that, didn't they?
Yeah. Facebook cuts off new NYU researcher from access, prompting rebuke from lawmakers. So basically these researchers, it was more than one, it was like two or three, they were running research to say, hey, Facebook political ads are still letting you say things that are against the terms of service, and also sowing a lot of dissent and misinformation and crap like that. And so Google or Facebook was, rather than shut the ads down, they just shut the researchers down.
But the thing that really pissed them off is they have this app. I can't remember what the name of it was, but you can run this. Or I know it's a browser plugin. If you run this browser plugin, you will anonymously send ad data back to these guys.
That's how they knew.
Which they can compare to Facebook's ad data, and it wasn't. The numbers weren't washing out.
Wasn't 1-to-1.
Yeah, so they were onto something here.
It was almost like what would you call it, honeypotting or something? So Facebook says that they minimize that, or they don't do anything with the ads until a human reviews it, blah, blah, blah. But they were able to get enough analytics data from people actually on the site to show that the site doesn't actually behave the way that Facebook says it does.
And that's not actually considering their preferences that they set in their settings in terms of ads. So these guys had access to the, what was the Tangle thing that they've got? Crowd Tangle, is that the name?
Yeah.
And they will lose that as well for their crimes. And here's a headline that, like, when I read it, I thought, how can that possibly be? And then after I read the story, I was like, yeah, that's not really what they're doing there, is it?
No.
This is a terrible idea.
Facebook researchers hope to bring two foes together: encryption and ads. It's not really. This is Facebook knowing what ads you need to be. This is Facebook doing Flock and then saying it's encrypted so they can't identify you, but there's still lots of personally identifiable information there.
What they're trying to do is the homomorphic encryption type thing, where they say, well, yeah, we'll look at what's inside there, but we won't really look at what's inside there.
You can do computation on encrypted data, in other words, without having to decrypt it. Therefore, it's safe. But that's not exactly how it works in practice with what you don't have to know what the data is if you can observe a couple of things about the data in order to infer things. Like, you don't have to know that Bob Smith is this data record. You can just look at, they're at their house for 8 hours a day, and in the property records, that's Bob Smith.
Like the
Easy.
priest. Remember the priest?
Yeah.
The priest, nothing directly tied him to the homosexual encounter, but just from his data, no one else went to that address the same times he went to it, and as often. So, that's him.
He's the one.
Also, homomorphic is a great word to use on people who don't understand it because they'll think it's something else.
I knew somebody that had that done.
Facebook, like Google and Amazon and every company in the world, it's the most frustrating thing in the universe, doesn't ever answer the phone. There is no way to call Facebook. They just don't do it. And when you have a problem with them, that can be a big issue.
Your Facebook account was hacked. Getting help may take weeks or $299, or get it back immediately, with this one weird trick. Basically, you buy an Oculus, and then you go on tech support. It's like, I can't use my Oculus because somebody stole my account. Oh, let me help you get that fixed. They fixed it immediately.
So this young
Kind
lady
of a cool hack.
did exactly that. She spent, 6 weeks?
Yeah, trying to get it back before buying the Oculus, and then got it back the next day after buying the Oculus.
I say that's cool, but it's clever, I guess. I mean, it's stupid that she had to do that, but
And the serial number that you need is on the outside of the box so you can return it, which will hurt them for doing this,
Yeah.
which is great.
GG.
Just check the return policy before you buy whatever it is. And the jab. It's all about the jab right now. I open up my Google News and every story is telling me why I should get this thing that doesn't seem to function. But boy, do they want me to get it, and they can't figure out how to convince me, so they're doing some crazy stuff.
To fight vaccine lies, authorities recruit an influencer army.
And by influencer army, you mean young TikTokers.
Store.level1text.com.
Text.com. Buy a mask from store.
So yeah, they're finding people who certainly don't have any credentials that would make you think that they have vaccine knowledge. And I don't think that they're really qualified to be telling me about this stuff, but here they are. Facebook.
I was going to say, do you think that really works? But
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
Yes,
we do
absolutely.
ads for Linode. Many of you have tried Linode now. Though to
Oh.
be fair, Linode is actually good. So.
yeah, but the Linode functions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and on record as saying this. Now I haven't done the research, but I still feel confident that Linode has never caused heart inflammation.
Only when it's down.
Oh, Facebook. When did they? The Supreme Court, the Facebook Supreme Court was that 2019?
Oh.
Listen to that.
Here comes the rain.
Oh, I drove the Corvette today. Facebook promised us whenever they did the Supreme Court, they were like, this is going to solve the problem. All this stuff where there's like bad stuff on there, this is going to take care of it. Just give us a little time. And that was a couple of years ago. They've had some time.
Study. Social media giants are failing to remove the most anti-Semitic posts. You know what? Those are really low down the priority list because nobody complains about anti-Semitic posts. The AI hasn't learned because guess what that data set is built on? People complaining.
I think they complain. They're almost famous for that. So it says it fails to remove the most anti-Semitic posts. Are they ranking them?
Apparently.
I didn't interpret it that way. It says fails to remove most, and not the most.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that actually does make more sense.
I like to imagine, though, that there's like a listicle somewhere.
Yeah.
Top 10 most anti-Semitic posts.
Oh, my God, this one's a 9.3.
Yeah, this is not entirely surprising at all because
I mean, they struggle with everything, it seems like.
well, they struggle with everything, but this is also like that kind of content is so prevalent, and the AI that's trained on that, there's not a good data set to be like, this content is really super wrong because nobody has built that data set.
Also, when you treat it like this, when you make a big deal about it, you turn it into, like, it goes from being a grenade to a smart bomb. And the trolls know, if I ever really want to push your buttons or get a reaction from you, all I have to do is go here.
Yeah.
So it perpetuates itself. I don't know. If you took all of the limitations off of it, I don't think it would stop it. but
No, yeah.
I don't think there's a good answer.
Yeah, this one we covered last week too.
Oh,
But
did
can
we?
We
Did
can
we?
mention it again.
No, we're throwing it out.
It's gone. You'll
It's
never know what
already-
it is.
Well, this is a long one already. 49 minutes.
Good lord.
Long episodes this week, chat. Are we done? We got anything
We're
else to say?
done.
All right, bye. See you next week or Friday, whatever.